Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Slcmof, back again with another video, and in today's video I'd like to answer a question that I get asked probably more than any other question in terms of Arkham Knight related questions that are not personal or like how'd you get your name, those kind of questions. My most asked question about the videos that I actually make is, what is your favorite Batman game? More specifically than what is your favorite game, what is the best Batman game, which I think are two different things. You know, we all have our favorites. For example, my favorite movie in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is The Dark Knight Rises, but it's not the best film. The best film is The Dark Knight, but my favorite of the three is The Dark Knight Rises, and that's an example of that exactly, that your favorite is not necessarily the same as the best. And the question that I get most often is not what is your favorite Batman game, but what is the best of the three? Which of the three is the best? Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, or Arkham Knight? And most people would automatically exclude Arkham Origins. I would in this case, but some people I have said they really enjoyed Arkham Origins. I don't know anyone that actually picks it as their favorite of the four. For me, it would be at the bottom of the four. That's just me personally. So for the point of brevity, we'll go ahead and narrow it down to the three, excluding Arkham Origins from the topic of what is the best. I will say that Arkham Asylum is not the best game in the series. It was the first, and it revolutionized the way that superhero games will be made for the next 30 to 40 years. In my personal opinion, I think that we'll look back in 20, 30, 40 years on Arkham Asylum, and we'll realize the impact that that game had on future superhero games, the way it's presented, the aesthetics, and also just the way the story is told, and how video games are not just beating up a bunch of thugs, which of course you do a lot of in all three Arkham games, but actually putting a story and a narrative to the plot. And that story and narrative was ingrained much deeper into Arkham City and Arkham Knight. And Arkham Asylum was the foundation of actually creating a story out of a video game and not just implementing a movie character or a comic book character into a video game just to play as that character, just for the purpose of playing as the comic book character, but rather for the purpose of telling a story and extending the canon verse, Arkhamverse, in this case, the Arkhamverse in this case, but in any other superhero case as well in the future, just extending the realm of what you are doing with that character. This really was the first superhero game to ever have a substantial plot that progressed and had plot twists and progressions. Not as many plot twists as like Arkham City, for example, but you get the point. It was a foundation that would change the way superhero games are presented, as far as I'm concerned, the next 30, 40 years, especially Arkham City and Arkham Knight as well. And Arkham Asylum, of course, was the foundation for those two games. With that being said, if you're looking at Arkham Asylum, I think it has the best aesthetics and visuals of all three games. Now, that's not to be confused with graphics. Obviously, chronologically, the games progress with graphics. Arkham Asylum has the worst of the three. Arkham City has the second best. And I mean, that makes sense. Arkham Asylum was made in 2009. Arkham City 2011, and Arkham Knight 2015. That's just technology, it's the way it progresses. Arkham Knight, of course, is a very obvious advantage since it's on next gen. So I'm not talking about graphics, I'm talking about aesthetics, the way it feels, the eerie feeling when you're walking through the halls and you're walking atop the arrows that the inmates follow, you know, to their cells and everything like that, and you are truly alone in that game. In Arkham Knight, there's a lot of other people in the city. There's a lot of, there's some civilians, not really, but there's also just other guards. In my opinion, the feeling is not quite as dark, even though the stakes are higher while you're playing the campaign. This game, Arkham Asylum, even though it's T-rated, and it doesn't have anything particularly dark or kind of gritty about it like Arkham Knight has. Arkham Knight has a lot of deaths and is much more gruesome, and M-rated, obviously, and Arkham Asylum was T-rated. The aesthetics and the visuals and just the asylum itself and the lightning, you know, atop the, you know, warding Quincy Sharp statue and everything like that, the visuals in the game were just breathtaking, in my opinion, and also just the feel of it was very kind of creepy and eerie, and the way they made the game look was just so good. Better than all three games, in my personal opinion. The aesthetics, not the graphics, not to be confused with the graphics. Moving on to Arkham City, I believe Arkham City had the best story of any superhero game ever made, and especially the Arkhamverse. And Arkham City had a phenomenal story, the plot progressions were amazing, and especially the fake Joker gag at the end was a remarkable plot twist that I think very few people predicted. And also, Rocksteady's very keen on actually putting the plot twist right in front of your face. They did it in Arkham Knight with the Barbara Gordon death scene, with the bullet holes in the wall, and also where Joker actually hands Barbara Gordon the gun to shoot herself, and of course Joker's an illusion, he can't do that. Most people didn't realize that, I know I didn't, some people said they did in my Joker Easter egg video. And then you also have the thing where if you turn on detective mode in Arkham City, when you're fighting the Joker in his playhouse, you actually realize that he is Clayface because he has no bones, just like every other person has bones if you were to turn in detective mode. So Rocksteady, that's just kind of a side note, they're very keen on actually putting the plot twist right in front of your face. Maybe like 1% of players will notice, but most of us won't, and then we'll just think that we're such idiots going back on it and thinking that we didn't realize it. All in all, though, I find it hard to debate the fact that Arkham City had the best story of the 3 games. Arkham Knight had a very intriguing story, and the fact that it was I think allowed it to do a lot of things that Arkham City maybe couldn't, but nonetheless, Arkham City was the best in terms of plot, raw story. Paul Dini's a phenomenal writer. He is in the comics, the Arkham City and Arkham Knight prequel comics. He is in other comics that he does, and he is in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, respectively. But Arkham City really just nailed the plot progressions and the story and the intriguing aspects of characters such as Hugo Strange, and just kind of a layered story that isn't just so inadvertent. Arkham Asylum, it's a very kind of straightforward plot. Joker's crazy, stop the Joker. You know, Arkham City is a much more layered thing, and there's much more ulterior motives and kind of politics at play, especially if you read the Arkham City comic prequels with Warden Quincy Sharp and the politics behind the Arkham City project and everything. It's very interesting, and it by far had the best story. Then you look at Arkham Knight, and Arkham Knight has 2 obvious comparative advantages over Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. The first of those advantages is graphics, and that's, again, as we mentioned previously, just by the fact that it's made 4 years ahead of the previous game, Arkham City 2011. And then you look as well at gameplay. Arkham Knight has by far the best gameplay. It has twice, maybe 3 times as many animations as Arkham City. So more animations, more abilities, more upgrades. It's just a far more developed game in terms of a combat system. Not only that, but we can just look at total gameplay hours. I have over 3 consecutive days just sitting down and playing Arkham Knight. I believe close to 100 hours total played. Maybe it's like 75. I don't know, a lot of time. More so than I had in Arkham City or Arkham Asylum. And that's just because the plot is not only not as linear, but you also have much more to do in terms of side missions and stuff like that. So it is a much more kind of broad... sorry, can't talk. Much more broader kind of scope to the game, and it is much more in-depth than any other game that we've had in the Arkham series. With that being said, here's what I've always said, and if I have to give a attribute to each one, and I'll pick one at the very end. Arkham Asylum had the best aesthetics and the visuals of any of the 3 games. Arkham City had by far the best story. And then Arkham Knight had the best gameplay and the graphics and everything like that, and the most to do in the game. The most time you could spend in the game is in Arkham Knight. There's way more stuff to do than in Arkham City or Asylum, combined, really. So with that being said, if I had to pick one to play, and I could only play one for the rest of my life, I pick Knight. That's as simple as it gets. The story, although not as intriguing as City had a really masterful story. I'm going to pick Arkham Knight, and it's because there's the most content, there's the most to do, and also the combat is masterful. It's brilliant. I mean, the fear multi takedowns, just all the stuff. It's really, they really perfected their craft with the combat. The story fell slightly short from what I expected. Again, I walked into the game expecting a 10 out of 10. I got maybe an 8.5 out of 10, maybe a 9. Still, nonetheless, excellent, of course, but... that being said, I mean, Arkham Knight is just a phenomenal game, and I pick it out of the 3. That's just me personally. Now, I think I am in probably 2% of people that not only favor The Dark Knight Rises over The Dark Knight, but also Arkham Knight over Arkham City. So you guys might be a little concerned about, like, my mental health, or if I'm, like, sane or not, or whatever. But, you know, Arkham Knight is a really phenomenal game, and I think people love to hate on it, but ultimately it's a very well-crafted game, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, so be sure to leave your favorite game, in the Arkham game, of course, not your favorite game in general, but your favorite Arkham game from the series. Is it Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, or maybe even Arkham Origins if that's your favorite as well. I've seen some people recently kind of coming to that conclusion that Origins is their favorite game. Anyway, whatever it may be, leave it in the comment section below. I'm really curious to know. I think many people are going to choose City, but I'm really curious to know. I'm not sure how it's going to go. My name's Slcmof, and I'll see you guys later.